Okay, all right. So today we're gonna do the use context hook. Let me share my screen so I can get to it. Basically, we're gonna continue with with the project that we already was working on because it's already built. So, and I'm just gonna put the use context hook in this project.
So
So
is this what you said we have to know like line, like everything for the mock interview is this what we're doing now?
no. So I had uploaded a new section in the course. It's called it's the last app. The Cruster was the last app before. Now there's one after that. It's called like Battle Game or something like that. And with those concepts, we're gonna ask questions about um for the interview. And and I have a few people that's gonna help me like interview y'all. Just a heads up, we're gonna ask like we're gonna start off easy, and then questions is just gonna get harder and harder, just like a real interview, until y'all can't answer it, and then like so we can like gauge where you are.
And I volunteered to go first.
No, everybody's gonna get stumped. I'm telling you, everybody's gonna be confused. Like it's gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, you don't know the answer to it because the question is too.
Yeah, I might need to get removed off that list.
Wait, y'all know y'all know the names of the concept more than I do. I just because I do it over and over, I know how to do them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, we're gonna be asking like, I mean, I don't have everything together yet, but it's gonna be like a real interview. Like a real interview, they ask you questions until you can't answer them no more. Like they want you to like not, they want you to get stuck. Just yeah, that's how we do it. Like always throw harder and harder questions until you can't answer it no more. But it's not a bad thing that you can't answer it. We can gauge, how much you know from where you stop at. So yeah, but yeah, it's that last project, and you can go through it. And honestly, I will go through everything to be honest. Like if it's something that you was a little shaky on, just like go through that, because we're gonna ask questions from all over the course. So yeah. And these are people that's in the industry. So, and y'all have a chance to talk to them afterwards. Beforehand, I'm not going to do an introduction because I don't want y'all to like get acquainted. I want you to be like complete strangers asking you questions, just like a real interview. Then afterwards, we'll talk and X, Y, Z. So yeah. But let me see. All right, so. And I kind of okay. All right, so we're going to convert this using use context. Just a quick reminder of what we had did here. We had basically used this, we built this whole thing inside with different components, and we're using use state to keep track of the current state of the app. Like we were passing those components the color and like the background, I mean the color and the name. And that's how we got like these colors and names here up on here. That's what we're doing to change the state. So what we're about to do is change the state a little bit different, and you're gonna see how like convenient it is to use context instead of the way we're doing it here. But the first thing I'm going to do before I do that, I want to show you how this looks before we use context by making this look a little bit more complicated. And then when we bring in use context, you're going to see like the value of it. Okay, that's why I need it. So so right now we just have these four components right here, right? So what I'm about to do is I'm going to put another component inside of inside of these four components. So to quickly do recap, we have the app up top here. We have the heading, which is that very first one. And then we have this box right here. And that box is each of those boxes that's on the screen. Maybe I should put these side by side. That may be a little bit easier to see. Yeah, this would be easier, I think. Is it? Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit better. Okay, so we got the heading, which is here, and we got the boxes, which is here. I'm gonna put another component inside of these boxes really quick. So I'm gonna create another one, and I'll just put like I'll just name it like description, and it'll be like, actually I'll put like last name or whatever. We're showing like the first name here, and I'll make a component to show the last name. So we'll do folder last name. It's gonna be last name component. Got to create the last name component. We got to create the CSS file like we always do. So I'm just gonna do last name dot CSS. So let me quickly create this. This is, oh wait, this is the CSS file. I'm gonna go to the JS file. We got to create the function like we always do, last name. And we got to return like some, we got to return some JSX or like HTML. So I'm just going to return a paragraph. And the paragraph is just going to be the last name. I'm gonna just put last name here for now, just as a placeholder. And I'm going to import this into Box so that Box can use it. And like this whole thing is a box. I'm gonna import last name from up to last name and last name here. Remember the reason we're going up two directories is because, I mean, not two, we had to go up a directory is because this box component is within this folder. So we're here. We had to go up one, which gets us into like this top area, and then go into the last name, and then bring in last name JS. And that's why it looks the way it does. You go up, and then you go inside the last name folder, and then you reference the last name file. That's how you bring it in. So what I'm gonna do is, and please stop me if anybody have questions. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this under here, last name here, and I'm gonna hit save. So each of these, hold on. Power error, last name is assigned a value but never used. Okay, I never exported it. So I'm gonna go back to last name. After we create the function, I forgot to export this because we imported it on the other way. So we got to export it, export default, last name, save this. And now we have we have the first name here, and then we got the last name here. I'm gonna give this like some styling so that it looks a little bit better than the way it does. So inside of last name JS, I'm just gonna say the paragraphs, I'm gonna give them a font size of like, I don't know, like 10 pixels or something. I'm not sure how that's gonna look, but why is it not changing? I'm gonna give this ID actually. I'm gonna give this ID of last name paragraph. And then I'm gonna reference it in here. Oh, I gotta bring in the CSS file. That's why I wasn't working. Gotta import the CSS file here. Import, and then // last name .css. And remember, every time we import these CSS files, we don't like put like from. We just import the file in here just like that. So now the last names are there, but I'm gonna make those last names a little bit bigger. So inside of box, I'm gonna restructure this a little bit because I want both of these to be on their own line. I'm gonna just put the paragraph within the div, and I'm gonna put the last name within the div also, because this is going to get it on its own line. They should line up like on top of each other. So did that work? No, that did not work. One moment. So box CSS. Let's do, I'm gonna take this out. This flex stuff. I think this is messing it up. or maybe not. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it like this. I'm not gonna mess around to CSS, but like the point is, the purpose of this is that we have a top component. Let me go to app. We have app here all the way up top, and then inside of app we have box, and inside of box we have, so inside of box we have last name, which is here. So like the original way, the way that we've been doing this this whole time was, if we wanted to pass in information from app, we got to pass it in as like a attribute here. Let me like this. We passed in name and we passed in color, right? So what I'm about to do now is I'm about to pass in last name from app, and you're gonna see how involved it is just to get it all the way to the last name component. So I'm just gonna say last name here, and I'll just put like my last name, Harrison, right? So I put this inside a box. Now I go inside a box and I have to get it out of here because now it's inside of props, right? And from here, I can pass this to this last name object. I mean, this last name component, like this. And then from there, I have to go to the last name component, add some props, and then reference the last name like this. And now it should say Harrison. So now it says Harrison with all of them, you can see. But the problem with that was that like I literally had to like I literally had to put it into box, and then from box I had to put it into last name. Now when you're dealing with like React, um, these things can get a lot like more nested than this. Like you may have box, and then you have last name inside of box, and then last name has a component within it, and then within that component it has another component inside of it. So you can see that like passing these things through all of those components can get kind of like it can get kind of tedious. And just to show you like quickly how that looks, let me just pull up like a quick, I'm just make a quick diagram really quick. Create design, say brochure, whatever. Just from a soon as this loads up, just from like a diagram, I'm gonna show you how it kind of like worked. And so shapes. So we had some boxes. Box. Okay. All right. So we had the app, which was up top, right? And so this is app. Let me, and I'll put like some, actually let me the app was up top, and then the box, and then let me put some names in here. So this was the app component. And from there we had box. And then from there we had last name. So the last name came from box. Box had to pass it. I mean, came from app. It was inside of app. App had to pass the box, and then box had to pass the last name. And this is what I was saying. Like this whole things can get really tedious. Imagine like the app has like a bunch of data, and it's like you got to pass in, you got to pass data through all these components. I like so like if there was a way to get the last name from app directly to the last name component, that would be like the ideal situation, instead of having to go through app to box and then to last name. Um, so, and that's what use context does for us. Like we don't have to pass stuff through everything else anymore. Now we can go straight from the top all the way to the bottom, and we can interact with all of these components without having to like pass stuff through other things, basically. And to show y'all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in use context, and I'm gonna rewrite this app to use the use context hook, and you're gonna see like how much cleaner everything looks. Um, so, any questions so far? I know I didn't stop for questions yet. Okay, all right, no questions. So, the first thing you want to do when you're using use context is you want to set up a place where it's going to exist. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a folder, and I'm gonna create this inside of the source folder. I'm gonna just name it util. The same concept as it was before when we were using the util inside of like those projects. It just literally has information that every other component is going to use. So inside of util, I'm gonna create a file, and I'll name it global dot. Actually, I'll name it context dot js, and this is where it's going to exist. And so I got to do some setup before I can start using it into other components. So
Wait, so it's not a JSX file, it's a JavaScript file?
yes, it's a JavaScript file. I mean, they are these are this is JavaScript file. So JSX is the HTML. That's what JSX is.
Okay, but you can use it in Java. Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. JavaScript, XML. Okay.
Right. Yep, exactly. So so the context with this, basically what this is like a place that every component can reach to get information from. And when something inside of this place updates, every other component sees the update. So now we don't have to pass through all of that information into all of those different components. So the way to do this is you first want to export, and I should have showed you this concept also. Remember how we were doing export default to export something from a file? Well, when you use export default, that's only when you're exporting like one thing from a file. But if you want to export like multiple things, you can use like export, and you can export like a constant. And I'm going to export, I'll just name it global. And so this constant name is global, and basically going to use something that's built into React. It's called create context. And create context, what this does for us is it sets up like this global space that everybody can pull information from. So now that we set this up here, now what we want to do is we want to bring this into our app component. And I'm gonna tell you why we're doing that in a second. So I'm going to import that really quick into here. Import that from some util, and from there it's called context. Okay, and I have to actually import it like this, and I'll I'll explain what this is too. So this file is exporting this right now. This file can literally export as many things as it wants. Like we can literally export const name Isaiah or whatever. So, and this can literally have as many exports as you want it to have, like that. And this is what I mean by if you use export const, you can use multiple of these. Now, back inside of the app.js component, whenever you import something from a file like this, you have to say what you want to import from that file. And that's why we pass in global here. Now, if I wanted to if I wanted to reference another thing that's in there, we can automatically see all the rest of them start populating here. So we can bring a name, we can bring a name 2, name 3, name 4, etc. So these curly brackets is a way for us to bring in like the different, to target different variables in the file. So I'm gonna erase these really quick. I just wanted to show y'all why that syntax is used the way it is. And I'm gonna get rid of these because I just deleted those out. So I exported this global context, which this variable called global that I named global, and I'm making it capital because this is the convention, and I'm creating this global place for everybody to pull from. Now I'm going to I pulled this into app.js, and from here I can give all of my components access to this by wrapping all of this within this component. So the way that looks, it's gonna look a little weird. I guess not too weird, but we make it like this, like just like a regular component, except for we use a property on this. And the property we're using is provider. And this, all of this stuff goes inside of this. And let me explain what this is. So let me zoom out a little bit so we can see this. Actually, let me just close. I'm gonna collapse this one. All right. So inside the app, we wrapped everything that's inside, that's within app with this global thing that we just brought in. This thing is an object and it has this this property on it. So, and this property is basically it's like a JSX element. You can think of it as like a JSX element. It looks a little weird, but that's how they did it. So we're wrapping everything in this just like that. And by doing this, we give everything that's inside of it access to everything that that this component has. Now, to give this component something or some state or like some global variables, we have to give it an attribute called value. And value takes basically, we're going to pass in, we're going to pass in an object. It takes an object of stuff, of like global variables, whatever. I can like literally pass name here. Say I can put like Isaiah and color, whatever, black or whatever. We can pass it like that, or we can literally like make the object here, and then just pass it the object. And actually, this is what I'm gonna do just to make it look a little bit more readable. And I'll actually
So if we
go ahead.
so if we want to make that dynamic, then we would use the create the create state or the use state. We'll use the use state function.
Exactly, right. Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna name this global variables just so that it looks descriptive, and I'll just pass it in here like that. And inside of this global variables, I'm gonna give this, instead of just giving it random things like this, I'm gonna make it dynamic, like Jay was saying. I'm just gonna give it, something from use state. I'm gonna just use this so that we're able to like change things and update things. And y'all gonna see how that looks. I'll name this global. Actually, I'll name it global since we didn't use this name yet, or at least not global with like lowercase. So set global, right? And I'm going to give this like this, and I'll show y'all. I'll remind y'all of the shortcut really quick after I put this here. So this is object. The key is global. The value is global. This key is set global. The value is set global. This set global. The values come from here. Like, and this global is here. Like this key can be whatever we want, but I'm just gonna put the key and the value as the exact same name. Like this could have been like hey or whatever, but I'm just putting it as whatever we're getting back from here, from use state, right? And since the key and the value has the exact same name, we can just delete the value, because this is a shortcut. JavaScript knows that if the key and the value is the exact same thing, we can just delete one of them, and we can just use it like that instead of writing key value being the exact same name, which is very redundant. So I'm gonna just leave it like this, and that's how we're gonna pass it in to value. So global and set global. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start refactoring some of this stuff. Now, first, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this global variable some default value. And remember, to give it a default value, we put the value inside of these parentheses. I'm gonna give it an object. I'm gonna give it, I'm gonna just name it BG color, and I'll put the color as blue. And this name is supposed to be Isaiah. I don't know why this says blue right there, but yeah. And then now I'm gonna do my name here, and I'll just put Isaiah here. Now what we're about to do is we're about to stop using these, and we're gonna use these ones instead, and then we're gonna delete these use states because we don't need it anymore. So now that we have some default values for this, now we have to bring in this this global thing into the other components inside of heading, inside of boxes, and inside of last name, so that they all can use it. And the way you do that is, let me go to, I'm gonna bring it into heading first. Heading JS here. You want to import global from the utility and then context folder. Like we had to go up 2 folders because this was in here. So we got to go up 1 folder, then got to go up another folder, and then go inside of the util, and then go inside of context. So we're bringing in this global, component, right? Now to use this, now what we can do inside of this component, we can bring in the object, and the object is going to come from, I think it's, now we have to use this useContext thing from React. And then we, inside of that, we pass in this global variable. Now we know that this has these 2 things inside of it, global and set global, right? So we're bringing in these 2 variables from this global space. And we're doing that by using this useContext React hook. So now I know that global inside of it has remember the default is here. Global is this object here. So if I do global dot my name, it should give me Isaiah, right? So instead of using my name here, the one we passed in, I'm gonna just do global dot my name. I'm gonna hit save, and it still says Isaiah here. And now to prove to you that I'm not using what's being passed in, I'm gonna change this to Harrison and save that. Why is it not saying Harrison? Refresh. I had to refresh it. So now it's saying Harrison. I'm not sure why I had to refresh it. Maybe it didn't trigger a refresh. But either way, we know that it's coming from here now. So now we can get rid of this. We don't need this my name anymore because we're not using that no more. Now what I want to do is I want to replace this background color. And we know that BG color is inside of here as well. And I'll make this as like orange or something just for a different color. And I'll use the orange from global. So I'll do global.bg color and I'm gonna hit save. And we change to orange. Now we're not using this one no more. So now I'm gonna just delete that. And I'm gonna delete this props here because we're not using that no more either. Because we getting everything from global here. Right. So now I converted this heading. Now I'm going to convert the box. And actually, let me leave heading open because I'm going to copy and paste some of that stuff. So I'm going to go to box. I'm gonna open up box.js. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna bring in both of these things up top here. And I'm gonna do this exact same line here as well. I'm gonna bring this in to here. And hit save. So now the two things that we passed, well, we passed a few things to box. Let me go to so the things we passed to box actually is in this props. We passed the name, the color, the click event, and the last name, right? So let me actually go back to app.js and I'm gonna give it a last name this time around. Also, so last name, I'll just say last name Harrison, and I'll change first name back to Isaiah. So, okay. So now global has BG color, it has my name and it has last name. Let me just copy all of this so I can know what this is. I'm gonna close this. I'm just gonna comment this out. I just wanted to see what the values were. So for color, we got color right here. We're just gonna substitute color for global dot BG color. And we'll separate, we'll let me see, we'll also, okay, because the default is orange. So now it's turning everything orange. Let me see. Actually, I'm gonna keep that one there. I'm gonna keep the original there. The only thing I'm going to change actually is this click event. I'm not going to change the rest of the stuff because the rest of the stuff is passed in like dynamically. So I'm gonna change this to update the name and the color within this global variable. So instead of using click event, on click, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say set global, and I'm going to pass it an object, and BG color is going to be color, and my name that's inside of global is going to be set to name, and I'm not even sure if I showed you the syntax before. These dots here, I'm not even sure if I showed y'all this. I feel like I said it in the course one time. So
That's I think what is it called? Object. I feel like you showed it to us before. Yeah, I just forgot what it was.
Deron had asked about this one also. It's a spread operator. That's what it is. So what this is going to do is it's going to dump all of the original properties and methods that was already inside of global in here, and then we're going to replace any of the ones that's already in there with these. So global had last name inside of it. Instead of us writing last name and then setting equal to global dot last name, we just going to put everything that's inside of global that's already in there and then just update whatever we're going to update at the bottom. So now when we click this, this should update the global variable. So if I click here, see it updates up there. If I click Dave, it updates up here. And like this header component was referencing the global one. So we can see that they're like tied together. So now I don't have to pass it this click event anymore because we're not using that. Let me delete this. I don't need that there. And I'm going to go to app and I'm going to delete that click event function because we're not even using that anymore. This can go away. And inside of box, we passed it. Hold on. What's that name? This click event. Oh wait, yeah. Okay, that's where it came from. Okay, so we can delete this. We don't need this anymore, and we don't need that click function either. So delete that. Delete. Delete. And we can delete this because now we're not using this no more. Right, cool. I'm gonna save that. See if this still works. And yes, that still works. If I click this yellow one, it says Sam. If I click this green one, it says Mike and it's green. All right, cool. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let me make sure I look around. I think this is good. So now what I'm gonna do is instead of passing last name to the last name component, I'm just gonna bring in this use context into that because I'm gonna just grab it. I'm gonna grab it straight from the global version. So we're pasting that again and go to here. I'm gonna copy this line. It's the exact same thing. And instead of using last name, I'm just gonna say global dot last name here. And save that. And it still says Harrison. So I'm gonna do another thing, right? So now that I bring that in there, right? I'm gonna go back to app.js, and I gave it just a name. I'm gonna give all of these a specific last name as well. So I'll say John Doe, whatever. I'll say Dave, last name.
Letterman.
What was it?
Dave Letterman.
Vladderman or Ladder?
Letterman. Dave Letterman.
Letterman. Okay. I'm not even sure how to spell
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Decent enough. Sam Cooke.
Cook. All right, cool. Sam Cook. You know what? I might just do Dane Cook because he's a comedian. And
Tyson.
like, cool. Tyson, like the wrestler or the chicken or whatever. So I'm passing all of that stuff, right? Now I'm gonna go inside of the box component. I'm gonna make sure this one gets in there as well. So remember we was mapping this right here. We was looping over this data. So now that data has a last name inside of it. So now I'm gonna pull out the last name because it don't have this click event anymore in there anymore. So I'm just gonna delete that. I'm gonna put the last name I'm gonna put it here inside of the component. Right. So I'm gonna hit save. What just happened? Click event is not defined. Oh, we don't need this anymore. All right, cool. So now that we're passing this in, now we're going to actually we don't even need to pass this in anymore. I don't know. We'll pass it in anyway. We'll pass it in. And inside of box, let's go inside of box. We have last name. We're passing it last name here. Wait, they should have updated. Wait, inside of the last name component. Oh, we're using, wait, no, I shouldn't use this actually. I should actually use what we passed in. I'm not even gonna use this global one here. I'm gonna just delete this. I don't think we need, no, we don't need that. I was doing overkill. But now we're using the ones we actually passed in Doe. Letterman, you can barely see that, but Cook and Tyson. So what I'm gonna do is whenever we do this, I'm gonna update the last name as well. I'll say last name is last name. I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna go to header, and I'm gonna use the last name inside a header. So global dot last name. Save this. So yeah. So the default was a default Harrison. Let me make sure. Yeah, the default was
It
Harrison.
is.
So I click this, John Doe, click this, Dave Letterman, click this, Dane Cook, and Mike Tyson. And let me see. So I'm gonna do something else. I'm going to just to play around with it a little bit more. Inside of last name, I'm actually gonna put those things back, the global stuff, because I'm gonna just do something random inside of there, just to show you that like you can access this stuff like as nested as you want. I'm gonna put these back and put those here. And I'll say, let me see, what can I do here? Let's put a click event actually. Let's do on click. And if I click the last name, I'm going to say, I'm going to fire this, set global context, pass it whatever is currently inside of there. And then I'll update the last name to be, I'm gonna just get a little fancy here. I'm gonna just get like a little extra. I'm gonna do, last name, and then I'm even gonna do math dot random. I'm gonna do last name and I'm gonna give it a random number behind it as well. So if I click this, this should update to the last name, and it should what's it called? It should have like a random number next to it. Let me put a space here. You can see how I'm like tying all this JavaScript inside of this HTML. Click Do. So did not work. Let me remove the on click for this one.
I was gonna say, do you have to click the name at the top, or should you be able to just click the actual event?
It's supposed to be just the last name, but I think what's happening is this on click is probably interfering with the other one because last name is inside of box, but box also has a click event. So let me and we'll click that. So yeah, it was interfering with it. So John Doe. So Letterman, it's just gonna change the last name. We put the other one away. So
Wait, so how did you fix it again?
so I was trying to click last name right here, but I know last name is inside of box. And this is box here. In box had a click event. So I think what was happening was it was firing this click event and the click event that's inside of last name, since we're technically clicking inside of both last name and box. Now, as far as what was taking priority, it looks like the box click event was taking priority. So maybe this updated to this random thing or whatever, and then it updated again to take whatever box gave it, which is why it wasn't working. Yeah. Yeah. So now, let's see, I'm gonna just put that. Actually, I'll just keep that there. And now I'll just remove this click event. I just wanted to show y'all that like it doesn't matter where the component is, it can still update whatever it needs to update, no matter where on this tree of components it is inside of. So yeah, I went through that a lot quicker than I thought I was going to go through it. Any questions? Because I can show y'all one more thing if unless there's questions.
Go ahead, show.
All right, so let me separate this actually. And I'm going to open up the dev tools really quick. Elements. So, inside of the elements tab, right? The only thing we see is all of the HTML. Like, we don't know what component is showing what. Like, there's no differentiation here. And because we don't know which component is which, it's going to be really hard to debug. So what React did was they have their own dev tools plugin that y'all have to get yourselves actually. So I will go to Google plugin React. And I'll put this in the chat also. I already have it installed. Um, if as you can see, like if I click this, we can see it here. It's this component thing. That's the new thing that y'all application don't have. And the reason this is showing up is because it's recognizing that we're using React. So that's why the extra component is showing there. But let me give y'all this in the chat. React Dev Tools here. So you just got to install the extension and then like restart your Chrome. And let me show you what the extension does for us. So the complaint was that we didn't know which component did what. Now, if I open that up, this component here, now we should have a different HTML tree. And this one has all of the components. App is up top, right inside of it is that context provider. Now we named it, let me go to what is app.js. We had named it, is here, global provider, but it knows that it's coming from context, and context is like, that's why I shown context provider. We got the header and we got each box, and each box has a last name inside of it. This is very convenient because now we're able to debug. Not only do it show us the components here, we can also see the state that's inside of each component. Let me open this up even more. So if I click on box, right, the state of this box is the color blue, the last name Doe, and the name John. I click on this box, the state is something different here. Click on this box, the state is something different. You can see that is really breaking down like what we're passing in as props, and it's telling us which component is which. I'm sure this extension does more than just this too, but like this is how I use it. And we can also see the context here that we use. Remember, we use global and then set global. So the more and more stuff we put in here, we can see the global variables that's accessible to us. And we can see that's currently set to red, Dave, and then Letterman, and that's why this top component is saying what it's saying. And if we was to put more stuff inside here, obviously all of that extra stuff would be in here as well. So yeah, so now we know how to use the useContext hook, and we know that this extra dev tools thing exists for React. Yeah, any questions? Anybody need me to like go back and like and something that you didn't understand? Let me just do a recap. Maybe so we put the context inside of util here, and then we use create context, and this came from React. React has like a function in there called create context, and this helped us set up that global space. And then from there, we exported it from this file and we bring it into app.js. Now we didn't have it, we could have set this up literally inside of app.js. We didn't have to put it inside its own separate file. But the reason we did that is because we just want to separate out everything. And another thing to notice is that we pass in the object here. This object actually gives us some default values. So if I was to put like name in here. I'm just gonna actually I'll just put like computer Mac. I'm gonna save this real quick. If I go to the dev tools, let me open up open this up. This one. So if state, hold on. That I thought that was going to show here. It's not showing it. So Isaiah Blue books. Yeah, okay. All right. Just forget that I put this here. We'll figure this part out the next class because I don't think we got time to figure that out. But I know that the default value is supposed to go here. I just forget like how exactly we're supposed to use it. But just know that you got to pass in the object. So we're exporting this from this context.js. We're bringing it into app.js up here. And then we're still using this use state where we have two things here. We just put a default value in here. And then from here we can use this global component that we passed in and then wrap all of the components inside of this. Now, whatever component is not inside of this, it won't have access to any of the global variables. But since everything is inside of here, it has access to everything. So the head tag has access to it, and this box tag has box component has access to it as well. So from there, we had to actually set up something for us to get access to it. So inside of the box component, first we had to bring in this useContext, and we had to bring in the global component that we set up before. And then we're just pulling out all of the variables that's inside of the global component, the ones that we put in as a value inside of global here. So yeah, we have put inside of a value here. And this value we're just putting inside of that these things that we already set up inside of use state. So we're pulling both of those out, and now we're able to update the state dynamically because now we're using a combination of React hooks. We're using this useContext to have, so all components can have access to the things inside of it, and we're using use state so that we can dynamically update the page whenever we want to. So we just brought in that and then this, and then we're just referencing these two variables in order to change the state. So somewhat of a little bit of setup, but once you get this set up, like your app becomes so easy to like write. Like everything becomes so much easier because now everything is literally everything you have access to is literally comes from this. So yeah.
So essentially, the global, the use context function is almost like our utility.js folder.
Right. Exactly. You can think of it exactly the same. Yeah. So the next, what I thought about teaching in this class, I didn't think we was gonna have time, but it looked like we did have a little time. But I guess it's good that I did the quick recap. But either way, on Sunday, what we're gonna do is remember how we were doing like the API calls with the fetch function in JavaScript. We're gonna learn how to do that in React, and in React, you use something called Axios. That is like the fetch of JavaScript, Axios. So we're gonna learn how to use Axios, and it's literally the exact same stuff, except for almost the exact same stuff, except for you're using a different function to do like the API calls. We'll do that, and we'll actually instead of seeing this simple looking app, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick an app we're gonna pick like a landing page or something like that, and we'll try to recreate the landing page in React. We'll dissect the whole page, and we'll like say which component is which, and then we'll start building out each component and then putting it all together so you can see how React is used.
will we do the CSS style and then the H? Well, of course we're gonna do the HTML, but we doing the CSS style and all that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick something simple, to be honest. Like
Okay.
something real. Actually, I mean, we can also yeah, I'm gonna just pick something simple. I'm not even gonna go, not even gonna go complicated. Um, yeah, just something real simple. But something that looks more like an actual page. And then after that, after Sunday, I guess Tuesday, we're gonna learn about like React routing. Like you know how you're on like a page and then you click a button to go to another page. Like we're gonna learn how to navigate between different pages in React. So we'll learn about Axios and make a component in React on Sunday, and then on Tuesday that follows Sunday, we're gonna update that page to have different to have that app to have different pages, and we'll learn how to navigate between different pages using React. So yeah, and then from there, honestly, like y'all will pretty much know React. Like it's not much to it. Y'all just really had to learn like the JavaScript fundamentals, and after that, you just got to learn like small little things, and then you pretty much know React. And obviously, there's like more stuff that's inside of it, but what we're gonna learn is like the bulk of it, or like the majority of what you're gonna use every time you use it.
Question, in terms of using React, isn't React used to build mobile phone apps?
Yeah, yeah. So there's something called React Native, and React Native it is React, but it uses like different like HTML tags or like JSX tags. Like for example, like a paragraph tag would be a text tag in React Native. Like they have different names for it. Um, so yeah, you can use React to build mobile apps. And it's specifically React Native. So, but if you learn React, you can learn React Native. It's not like a it's very similar basically.
I was gonna say, isn't it? I mean, couldn't you use React to build a phone app, or does it have to be React Native because of certain tools that React Native has as opposed to React?
Right. So you can use React to build a phone app, but the benefit you get from React Native is that it has like built-in like properties and stuff. I mean built-in like methods to interact with your phone. Like if you want to bring in the photos into your app, like you can't do that with regular React or any like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can't have access to like the phone's data, like the context, I mean like the contacts or if you want to run your app in the background, like for example, like a Spotify app, right? You want to play your music in the background, like stuff that mobile has, React Native has, and they even have like different, even the components that they build is like native to the device, like iOS, like Android versus iOS, like there's different like the text fonts that they have, like the even like the buttons that they have on the phones are like standard to the phones, but React Native, it can recognize which phone it is, and then it'll display whatever whatever is native to the phone so that it can feel like it was built for the phone. So it's a lot of stuff like that that React Native has.
That works.
Yeah.
That definitely works. That's tough.
Yeah. And you can also get it into the Google Play Store a lot easier than using regular HTML, CSS, JavaScript, even though you can put that in Play Store also, but like React Native comes with like it's just easier to get in there. Like I think they have like I think they make it easier for you to get it in the App Store with like certain commands. Don't quote me on that because I'm not I'm not expert in it, but last time I have used it, it was easier to get it inside of the App Store. Um, Maybe a little bit different now because this was time ago. So yeah, let me stop sharing and I'll stop the recording really quick.